well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Welcome to another edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. My name is Cam Edwards. I am so glad that you are with us today. Hope that you are doing well on a Thursday here. The days just are blending all together. Coming up on the program here in just a couple of minutes, we're going to talk with Cibola County, New Mexico Sheriff Tony Mace, our friend out there in western New Mexico, talking about what's going on there in the land of enchantment, maybe the land of disenchantment these days, as more and more individuals, it seems, are becoming disenchanted with Governor Lujan Grisham's emergency order that has, among other things, declared that gun stores must close. Gun stores not considered essential businesses in the state of New Mexico. We've already seen a lawsuit filed by several Second Amendment organizations, including the National Rifle Association, Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, challenging that aspect of the governor's order. And we're also now starting to see some gun stores openly defy the governor's order. And they're saying, listen, we are going to reopen for business. We're not going to be stupid about it. We're not going to have 80 people crammed into a, small enclosed space, but we are going to continue to serve the community. We're going to continue to serve law enforcement. We're going to continue to ensure that people can acquire firearms and ammunition so that they can keep and bear arms during the state of emergency. In New Mexico, under the governor's order, if these stores do this, supposedly what could happen is authorities would go out and they'd say, hey, don't do this. You got to shut down. If they come back out, the store is still open. They could then issue a citation. I believe these stores could face up to a $5,000 fine for remaining open. And I'm also guessing in some communities, you'd probably see Second Amendment supporters, gather together to maintain any safe social distance, of course. Maybe even pay those fines for the gun stores that remain open. So far, it has not come to that yet. I'm not aware of any gun store in the state of New Mexico that is facing a fine for remaining open, but we do know that that is a possibility. And again, we are now at this moment. We're going to talk more about this after our interview with the Sheriff Mace, but we're at this moment in time where for many Americans, it's been at least a month since these stay-at-home orders were put in place. For some of us, it may be longer than a month. And a very real conversation and a very real debate is being had over, okay, we know that this is a dangerous virus. We know that people are dying, but we also know that there is real economic damage being done. We know that there are, increased stressors. Businesses are being lost. Jobs are being lost. More than 5 million people filing for unemployment last week, bringing the total number over the past month to more than 22 million Americans. I mean, that is a staggering number of Americans who are unemployed. The biggest, I believe the previous to this past month, the biggest 4-week number of jobless claims was back in 1982, and it was about 2.5 million Americans over the course of 4 weeks that had filed for unemployment. So you're looking at 10 times that number. Again, these are serious questions. And these are serious problems. I've said before, I don't know what a good answer is. I suspect that there's not a quote-unquote good answer. But again, this debate is raging across the country, including in New Mexico. Again, we had the opportunity to sit down and spend some time with Sheriff Tony Mace from Cibola County, New Mexico. Take a look and a listen. Sheriff, thanks so much, sir, for coming on the program. It's good talking with you today.
Yeah, good morning, Cam. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We've been paying a lot of attention to the state of New Mexico over the past couple of weeks with Governor Grisham's emergency order that included declaring gun stores to be non-essential businesses. We've seen a lawsuit filed against the governor's order there, and we're it's fascinating. We're starting to see some gun stores say to heck with the governor. We're opening up again. Calibers in Albuquerque, I think, is opened. I think there's one store in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, that has reopened. What are things like there in Cibola County at the moment?
The same for us. I have 2 gun stores in my county, Lawford Guns, and we also have Papa's Farms, which is a gun store. Both excellent businesses. They're same thing. They're taking a stand, and I support them. That they're keeping their doors open, and they're going to keep providing service to the public. I mean, in this time, we have a constitutional right to bear arms. Just because there's a crisis going on doesn't mean you override the Constitution. And we believe that it's an overreach by the governor, and we're being defiant, and I'm supporting them staying open. The Department of Justice, even our president says, hey, gun stores are essential, stay open. So that's the guidelines that we're taking. The governor doesn't issue their federal firearms licenses. Mm-hmm. The federal government does. So that's kind of where we're taking that stance is they are essential, especially in these crazy times. You see an increase in gun ownership. You see people that were anti-gun before now reaching out trying to buy guns, and purchasing a gun online and not knowing what you're doing. That's horrible. You should be able to go into the gun store, purchase your firearm, get some direction from the gun store owner who knows about the firearm, and get a little bit of education while you're there as well.
Absolutely, and I'm guessing that the gun shops. I know Calibers in Albuquerque says, listen, we're gonna socially distance. We're not gonna have a store crammed full of people. We're gonna make sure that our employees and our customers are safe. And I'm guessing that's what the other gun stores are doing there where you are too.
Absolutely. I mean, we're a smaller community, so you may have 4 or 5 people in a store at one time.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. But you go to Walmart or a gas station, and there's 50, 60 people packed in there. There's no balance. And, these are local businesses run by private individuals. They're not your big box stores, right?
Right.
So, they can set some pretty good, they can use some common sense and set some pretty good guidelines in there. And then, our governor just refuses to, anti-gun, anti-constitution. She refuses to accept the fact that these are essential, right? So she remains them closed and left us no other recourse but to go ahead and file a lawsuit. There's a couple private citizens named in this suit. There's a couple gun stores that jumped on this suit. And, it's crazy times when the only relief that we have against our government is to file lawsuits. When our government, they're elected officials. They know what the Constitution is. They swear an oath to protect and defend that as well. And honor that Constitution, yet they continue to ignore it and be defiant. And it's just crazy times that we're living in, that the only relief that we have is to file lawsuits on them. And sometimes these lawsuits, they don't make it to the court until the situation's already over with.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. You're right. I mean, even, with a request for an emergency injunction, if those get denied, you're right. It could be months or years more likely before this stuff gets resolved. I'm curious, what do you say to people who would say, listen, Sheriff, gun stores are not essential right now. Crime is down in a lot of cities. We're worried about, domestic violence increasing when folks are stuck at home. The last thing anybody needs is to buy a gun right now. What's your response to that?
Well, I see that, I understand, people are on lockdown, and we see it in our law enforcement profession, right? You're supposed to stay at home, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they want, to not spread the virus. Well, what happens is you have people that are, it's kind of like what you see during the holiday season. People are out of work, they're out of money, and they're cooped up in their homes. So you see a rise in domestic, you see a rise in arguments, you see a rise in fights, you see a rise potentially in suicides, right now, because especially now, people are out of work, they're stuck at home. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There is no clear direction. You get, well, maybe we'll open up tomorrow. Maybe we'll open up the next week, and it just keeps going further and further down. But we're talking about depression and medical things like that, right?
Yeah.
Those don't outweigh the constitutional right to bear arms. And the flip side of that is, we want to stop the spread of the virus, so we're going to start letting inmates out of detention centers. Well, these are criminal. There's a criminal element. They're enabled criminal element because that's what they do. They commit crimes, right? And those people are going to continue to commit those crimes, whether there's a virus going on or not. So people absolutely need to access to be able to purchase firearms or ammunition or things like that to protect their family, protect their property, to protect their livelihood, whatever it may be. Just because there's a virus going around doesn't change anything. In fact, when you're talking about releasing inmates from custody, you're introducing that criminal element back into the community, and they're going to do whatever they can to survive or to make it through it. So, gun stores are absolutely essential right now. And I'm sorry, but a virus does not override my constitutional right to be able to bear arms, whether I have one now or I want to get one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing, I see gun stores, the folks that I've talked to around the country understand, look, this is real. This is it's a real disease. It is hurting a lot of people. But at the same time, as you point out, if these big box retailers, if essential businesses are open with these social distancing measures in place, well, then there's no reason why gun stores can't do that as well. And given the record number of background checks that we saw in the month of March across the country, it's pretty clear that there are millions of Americans who do consider their right to keep and bear arms essential at the moment. Many of them, as you pointed out, are new gun owners. You're seeing that even there in Cibola County. You've got folks who have never owned a gun before, but they're gun owners now.
They are, and the flip side of it is it's okay, take the gun out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
Go to the store. People are buying stuff off the shelves. It's overwhelmed. There's nothing stocked, right?
Yeah.
So I live in a rural part of New Mexico where we do a lot of hunting and fishing and different things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of my gun stores are sporting goods stores, right? If I can't go buy steaks at the supermarket, well, I can still go get a hunting license, and I can go out here and I can go buy ammunition. And I can go out and hunt. I can go out and harvest a deer or harvest an elk and put meat in my freezer for me and my family to survive. If I'm a fisherman, I can go to these gun stores and get tackle, and I can go harvest fish from the lake. We have 2 lakes here, So it's not just, there's the gun portion of it as well,
mm-hmm.
but there's also I need ammunition, I need tackle, to be able to provide, so. That's part of the equation that makes them essential as well. Not everybody stockpiles ammunition.
Right.
I may decide that I want to go harvest an elk today to put meat in my freezer. Well, I need to go down and buy some hunting ammo. So guess what? I need access to the gun store to purchase that ammo, so I can go out and harvest that animal and put it in my freezer.
Yep, absolutely.
Because I can't get it at the grocery store. It's kind of like going back in time, right? We're going back to our roots. We have to.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish that there were wild toilet paper deer running around the state of Virginia. I could.
I just don't understand that part of it.
It's turkey season right now, but I wish it were toilet paper season. So let me ask you specifically about how the coronavirus is impacting your operation there in Cibola County. You had mentioned that, obviously around the country, we're seeing the release of inmates, supposedly nonviolent offenders, although they might be in for a nonviolent offense right now, and they could have a lengthy violent criminal history, and they're still getting early release. Are these releases happening in New Mexico? Have you gotten to the point where you might have to do that there with the Cibola County jail? What's the current status for the folks in jail in Cibola County?
So for us here in Cibola County, again, we're rural. We're not like the heavily populated Bernalillo County, Santa Fe County, some of those areas like that. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's a little different. Absolutely, it's business as usual for us at the sheriff's office. My staff has personal protective equipment. We know we're doing everything we can, not just to protect my staff, but also to protect the members of the community, right? But it's business as usual for us. We're out there enforcing, not Gestapo type, but we're enforcing the laws. We're responding to calls. We're doing what we need to do. We're doing our law enforcement duties. On the flip side, we're helping the community. If there's with this virus, if there's people that don't want to go out of their house because they don't want to take the risk,
mm-hmm.
My deputies are helping them out. They'll deliver food to them if they need to. In fact, we're delivering a couple pallets of food out to the Navajo Nation today because they're getting impacted by tremendously out there. And, we're doing our part to help out with our community. And inmates, it's business as usual. We're still booking. We're still transporting. We're still extraditing. We're still holding those people in place. We do have safe measures in place where a new person comes in, they get quarantined a little bit, and then they get tested. So we don't want to expose the virus to the facility because that creates a bigger problem for us. But, we're still operating normally and absolutely not releasing any criminals that or anybody pending charges that just because of the virus. It's really business as usual. The only thing that we put in place is we're not really transporting the inmates to the courthouse. we went to a video arraignment where they're doing it over video cameras with the judges. So that helps out a lot as well. But, it's business as usual for here. And I think for our state, we've had roughly 36 deaths from the virus, which is horrible. I'm not trying to downplay that, but for about our 2 million population that we have statewide, 36 is not impacting us like it has on some of the other states. But I mean, it's still bad, but we're not. We got to be. The bad doesn't outweigh the good, I guess is the easiest way to put it.
Right. Well, and that's, this is, I think this is the conversation that all of America is having right now. Is the economic pain and the economic devastation is absolutely real. And the president has talked about the cure can't be worse than the disease. Unfortunately, I think we're in a position where there's no good answer. There's no magic solution that's going to make everything better. And these are some tough trade-offs, right? If you start to open up the economy, do you run the risk of increasing the number of cases? If a county has been able to handle these cases up to this point, what happens if you try to go back to business as usual? What happens again to these economies if you don't try to open things up? And how long does the pain and the devastation of the closed businesses last, even after we get a vaccine for this virus? These are tough choices, and I'm not an expert. I don't know what the right answer is. Again, I suspect that there's not a quote unquote right answer. I think that these are just really difficult decisions, and we're all sort of having to figure it out as we go along.
Well, I think as a nation, we've overcome far worse. There's many things out there that are far more risky that take lives every day. More people die from tuberculosis than they do this particular virus. More people die from flu and pneumonia than they do this virus. More people die from fatal DWI crashes every day than this virus. There is no textbook direction out there on how to deal with this virus. As a nation, we're very adaptive. As people, we're very adaptive. We'll get through this. We'll overcome this, and we always have. We've always come together as a nation. We've always come together as citizens, and we get through this stuff. Yes, is the impact bad? Yes, we have to take some precautions. Yes, absolutely. But I'm not an expert on the virus or stopping the spread or anything like that. But you know what? At the end of the day, we are all adults, and we all have good common sense, and we can make our own. I don't need the government telling me what I can and cannot do. If I choose to go out into a crowd of 10 people, that's my decision. That's my choice, right? If I choose to stay home and not expose myself to that and not take that risk, that should be that's my decision as well. There's going to be people that are going to take that risk, and there's going to be people that are not. And I think sometimes what you see is, like in my community too, is you have people that are just like, yeah, the virus is there. I understand the risk, but my government, they're going to tell me to stay home? Absolutely not. I have no reason to go out. I'm going to go out because I want to, or just because I can.
Right.
So, essentially what you're doing is you have people wanting to be defiant and just doing what they do, just because. And I absolutely think that, we need to open back up, use precautions, use some safety measures, and continue our day-to-day lives. We cannot live in fear.
No, we can't live in fear. And you're right. I think defiance is sort of baked into our cultural DNA as a country. I think generally speaking, that is a good thing. I think that does help prevent, petty tyrants or even the non-petty tyrants in this country. And you're right. I think that Americans, we're already starting to see it. We saw the big protests up in Michigan yesterday. There have been protests at the State House in Ohio as well. We are not a nation that is full of people who are going to be content to live their lives on lockdown.
We're a nation that was created on the act of defiance. And I've said it before. With some of these government overreach and the things that are going on, it's time for if people are seeing this and they're getting tired of it, they don't want to be locked up. They don't want somebody telling them what to do. We're a land of freedom, and people want that, and they're just getting fed up. And you see in communities across the nation, people are just and it's being defiant and taking their rights back and standing up for their rights and voicing their rights, and I mean, that's the only way that we're going to survive this.
Talking again with Cibola County Sheriff Tony Mace. Listen, Sheriff, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I really appreciate it. Hope you and everybody there in Cibola County do remain safe, and hope we can check in again soon.
Thank you, Cam. You have a great day as well, sir, and be safe out there.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff Tony Mace joining us here on Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. All right, so just one note here, and I'm so loath to delve into the politics of the coronavirus, because I just see I see people I like in both camps, team open it up and team keep it shut down, and I think both of those camps actually have valid points of view, and I think they have valid concerns, and yet I just see the two sides butting heads with each other. One thing though that we do know, according to the official statistics. And yes, there are thousands of deaths that have been counted as coronavirus deaths without a confirmation that this was coronavirus. That doesn't mean that they weren't coronavirus, but again, we've not had an official test. But according to the official death figures right now across the United States, coronavirus is the number one cause of death right now, today. Now, over the course of a year, hopefully that's not going to be the case. But we've already, according to the official death totals, had more deaths from the coronavirus since basically March 1st of this year than all homicides for 2018. That's the last year for which we have official totals. So, yes, this is real, and it is killing a lot of people. And the economic damage that Sheriff Mace talked about is real, and that is going to hurt a lot of people too. And the longer that economic lockdown continues, the more people are going to be hurt. And the sooner you open things up without adequate testing in place, without at least a treatment, if not a vaccine, the more people are going to get sick. That's why I said there's no easy answer. We have a lot of bad choices before us right now, and there's no magic solution, unfortunately. So no matter if you're on, team open it up or team shut it down, keep it shut down. Try to have some empathy for folks on the other side. And having said that, some of what we're seeing here in terms of the shutdown orders, I think are absolutely stupid and will, in fact, only lead to, as Sheriff Mace talked about, this sense of defiance. If we don't see the common sense in, let's say, look at what's going on in the state of Michigan, where Governor Whitmer has said, okay, listen, if you want to go canoeing, you can go canoeing. But if you want to take your pontoon boat out, you can't take your pontoon boat out. Or if you want to go kayaking, you can go kayaking, but you can't take your jet ski out. See, that's stupid. I mean, I think that's absolutely insane. I don't think that does anything at all other than make people say, this is stupid, let's open it up. In Wisconsin, I think we might have mentioned this on yesterday's program, there's a new edict that says the window visits at nursing homes can no longer take place. So you can't go to a nursing home, stand outside and talk to, or at least wave at, your grandma through a window. That's stupid. That doesn't help anybody. And in fact, again, I think it leads to more people saying, well, this is just dumb. Let's just end the whole thing. Let's just get back to work. Let's just start this up again. If these officials want people to stay at home, they want people to practice social distancing measures, they want people to try to mitigate the spread of the virus, which I think is a good thing to do, then stop making these idiotic rules. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do. If you want people to cooperate, don't tell people they have to do something that makes no sense at all. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of that. So that's, I'm going to climb off my soapbox here. I'm going to get down. Okay, there we go. Because I don't come down in one camp or the other. I'm not on team open it all up. I'm not on team keep it locked down. I'm on team, this sucks and it's going to suck for a while. And I think, we're probably likely to open things up. We're going to have to close things back down, open things up, close things back down. I don't think this is going to be easy. I don't think this is going to be short. I don't think we're going to get out of this without, again, losing more Americans, without suffering more economic pain and economic harm. I just don't. I wish that I had some magic solution, but I don't think that there is one out there. So that's where I come down at this moment in time. I will let you know if things change. But right now, let's get to today's Armed Citizen story, our good deed of the day, and our recidivist report. We'll start there, actually, from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, with the story of an East Liberty man who was arrested for spitting in the face of a grocery store manager back on April the 1st. Now, this is a bad idea in normal circumstances, but it's a particularly bad idea to do something like this while the coronavirus pandemic is taking place, because now 23-year-old Brandon Thompson is facing charges that he probably would not have otherwise for spitting in a grocery store manager's face. This happened back on April the 1st. Authorities were able to make an arrest on Wednesday of this week. The 23-year-old now charged with terroristic threats, simple assault, recklessly endangering another person, harassment, as well as disorderly conduct. But he was also apparently picked up on a probation warrant. So police say that he violated his probation stemming from a 2016 shooting in which Thompson fired at a vehicle occupied by a woman and her son. The woman was injured by shattered glass. And that was, again, back in 2016. The 23-year-old already out of prison for that crime, on probation. I don't even know actually if he went to prison for that, but he was already out on probation. And violated, apparently, that probation. So now he is back in custody on those charges as well. Our armed citizen story of the day from Arkansas, where the paper in Hot Springs, Arkansas, I believe this is the Hot Springs Sentinel Record, reporting on this gentleman, 34-year-old Joseph Wayne Newton, one of two individuals arrested for burglary after they were held at gunpoint by the homeowner they tried to burgle in Royal, Arkansas. Tuesday afternoon, the 59-year-old homeowner came to his house to get the mail and saw a pickup truck parked by a shed that didn't belong there. He waited a couple of minutes to see if anybody was going to come out of the house, and then he grabbed his .38 revolver and decided to start checking the property. Found Mr. Newton coming out of the shed and said, why don't you just get down on the ground there and we'll just hang out for a few minutes, get to know each other a little bit better. A couple of minutes later, Julie Marie Lee, age 31, walked out of the home with some items in her hand that did not belong to her, and the 59-year-old homeowner said, why don't you take a seat with your friend here? I didn't realize we were going to have a party, but okay. Police arrived a short time later, took the pair into custody. Thankfully, no shots were fired. Homeowner's not injured. Mr. Newton is already bonded out of jail on a $5,000 bond. His alleged accomplice, Julie Marie Lee, still being held behind bars on a $5,000 bond, but no charges for the homeowner, who was acting in self-defense. In fact, getting a lot of praise from the local authorities for helping them take those suspects into custody. And finally today, our good deed of the day from Columbus, Ohio, where Officer Anthony Cox went above and beyond to help the victim of a scam that he responded to. Got this call a couple of weeks ago. Started talking to the woman whose name was Vicky about the scam. And it's the scam, you may have heard of this, where you get sent a check and they say, listen, deposit this check in your bank account, buy, it's the check's for $1,000, buy $500 worth of gift cards for us, send us the gift cards, you keep the rest of the cash. Well, Vicky did that. And then about a week after she deposited that check, her bank contacted her and said, listen, this is a bad check. The account's closed. There's no money in that account. Check bounced. You're on the hook. And this was for far more than $500, apparently. When Officer Cox was talking with Vicky about this, he asked her, are you going to be okay? Are you going to have enough money to pay your bills? And she said, I don't know. I'm not sure. She said, they got a lot of money from me. My rent's about to be due. And he said, don't worry about your rent. Officer Anthony Cox paid Vicky's $800 rent. He said, I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't something she had to worry about. Now, he did not talk about this to anybody. He didn't say this to anybody. But Vicky's niece her aunt, Vicky, told her what had happened, what Officer Cox had done. Ariston Means also works for the Columbus Police Department as a police officer. And she was the one who wanted to get the word out about what Officer Anthony Cox had done. She said, I'm just grateful because my aunt is the type of person, she won't ask for help if she needs it. She is just more the type, I'll figure it out myself. Officer Anthony Cox, meanwhile, told Channel 10 in Columbus, Ohio, he didn't do it for the recognition. He says, quote, we do it because we care about people. So in the right place, at the right time, willing and able to step up again and go above and beyond. Officer Anthony Cox, we thank you, sir, for your very, very good deed. That is about all the time we've got for you on this edition of Bearing Arms Cam & Company. I want to thank you for being a part of the program. And we are finalizing our details for next week's Editor's Chat. I don't have a date for you yet, although hopefully by tomorrow I'll have that for you locked down. But it looks like it's going to be Hot Air's Ed Morrissey and myself teaming up for an Editor's Chat next week. If you're a VIP Gold member, you can access that chat live. You can become a VIP Gold member. Actually, with a 25% discount right now. I think if you use the code WUHAN, WUHAN, you can get 25% off your VIP Gold membership. Not only will you get exclusive commentary, analysis, and more at BearingArms.com, but throughout the Town Hall Media family. So that's Red State, Twitchy, Hot Air, Pajamas Media, and of course, Town Hall. It is a great deal, and when you do so, you are helping to support the Second Amendment journalism that we do here each and every day. And we truly do thank you for your support. We will be back tomorrow with more of the latest Second Amendment news and information from all across the nation. In the meantime, you can subscribe to Town Hall Media on YouTube or Bearing Arms Cam & Company on Apple Podcasts. That way you will never miss a program. Until we speak again, be safe, be well, and be free. Again, I know it's a balancing act, but I think we can manage all three of those things. Fingers crossed. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you here soon with another edition of Bearing Arms Cam & Company.